think a lot of us see our value and our worth in what we've done in life, in what we've achieved, but not in who we are.
I think America has a problem, an obsession with productivity and efficiency. Our mind tells us to keep going, that it's not enough, that we are not doing enough. Our culture tells us to push harder, but our body is telling us that it's too much, to slow down. And the thing about goals, the thing about striving for achievements is that the ceiling will always become our floor. We'll always want the next thing. We'll never be fully satisfied as long as we're constantly seeking value and worth in what we are achieving. One of the most common misconceptions about slow living is that you need to have a lot of money. But you can live slowly in just a singular moment, a mere second, when we remind ourselves to be present, to connect with our senses, to be in tune with our bodies. That's how we slow down. That's us slowing down. By taking a deep breath, you are slowing down. By becoming the watcher of your mind, you are slowing down. When you pause and look at the sunset, or smell the flowers, or breathe in the fresh air on your walk, you are slowing down. By just redirecting your thoughts and your energy and your consciousness into the present moment, into your bodily senses. Slow living is mindful living.
Here's where I think the problem is. We say yes too quickly and we don't say no soon enough. And I think a big part of this is our mind. Our mind tells us that it's not enough, that we need to keep going, that we need to keep pushing, and that what we're doing is not enough. Our culture keeps telling us that we need to do more, that we need to be more productive, we need to be more efficient in the ways that we do things. But our bodies are telling us that we need rest, that we need to slow down and enjoy.
God, that's so crazy. It's like everyone's so busy chasing success and defining themselves. They can't even experience pleasure.
That's what we're here for.
One thing we can ask ourselves when striving for achievement: why do we need to be the best? When it comes to self-improvement, what if our only aim was to be 10% better? Just 10. It instantly releases that pressure of needing to be the most efficient, to finding the most productive and efficient way of doing things. Just 10%.
It's really important to remember that when it comes to goals or achieving things or chasing after things that are outside of us, that are external, there will always be something new. Our ceiling will always become our floor. Every time we achieve a new goal or get something, we're gonna look to the next thing. We're like mice in a maze, it's never ending. And that's why it's so important to chase our values and not things. It's so important to chase how we want to feel, how we want to be, what we want to embody in our lives, rather than achieving certain things or doing or having things in order to feel personally fulfilled in our lives. So how do we achieve that balance of living ambitiously, but also living slowly? Here's what I've learned. You can still do a lot of things. You can still have goals and ambitions living slowly, but it's all a matter of how you do it. And I think the real key is, are you pursuing those things from a state of urgency? Are you rushing through your to-dos, your tasks every day? Or are you taking the time to really be mindful and observe those little gaps of space, those gaps of presence when you're doing the task itself? There's a lot more personal joy that can be experienced when we really are observant and present with the thing that we're doing and we're not rushing through it. And I think this really begs the question, are you afraid of time? Are you afraid of time running out? We can celebrate it. We can embrace the moment that we're in, the moment that we're given. And that is all coming down to presence. Not to get super religious, because I am not a religious person, but seeing the light of God within you, if that makes sense. So it's like seeing the light that you are, the being level of your spirit, the soul, instead of thinking that you need to achieve a certain thing, or that you need to be seen, or that you need to have XYZ in order to prove that you're valuable or worthy in life. It's about seeing the beauty that is already within you, who you are, the character traits that you have, the gifts and talents that you have in your personal life, the things that, how your mind works, how your heart feels. These are all things that I think if we focus more on that, and that being our worth, and that being how we see and value ourselves, if we can kind of focus in on those things, we always will consistently feel that level of worth. We don't need to do something to feel that worth. It's just steady within us because we're aware of our energetic characteristics. That makes sense. And one of the ways that we can do this is by prioritizing our mind, our body, and our spirit over material gain or achievements. So it's asking yourself, what does your body need? What does my body want from me in this moment? For me personally, slow living is really about sensual living, tapping into your senses, being connected to your senses of taste, touch, smell, and being so fully in your body and being so connected to your body. It's really about the physical movement of things, and like having clothes that feel good to touch, and like being really connected to all the senses all the time, and really like being present with that. That's one of the easiest ways that I consistently fall back into a present mindset, a slow, present state of being, rather than rushing through things, because I have a lot of energy. I'm an energizer bunny, and I can really rush through things if I'm not present. And that's, partly why I got on the slow living path, as so many of us are, because we realize that we're rushing, that we're overwhelmed, and that we're doing too much. And so if we can just bring that energy back into the body and to the physicality of things, that is really helpful. Everyone has different priorities in life, but I find that prioritizing the health and well-being of yourself and your family over trying to please your peers or your boss or your followers, or trying to please someone else, what it is that we should do. Shoulding is truly one of the most detrimental things that we can do. Shame and shoulds. When looking at your day, ask yourself how you're going to nourish yourself, both your mind, your body, and your spirit, and then decide how you're going to do that. This is one of the most important things to feeling a sense of peace and not urgency and obsession with achievement and all of those things. Care less. Like, seriously, care less, because nothing is ever really truly worth all that stress, all that mental clutter and tension. Never worth it. This is a personal belief, but I'm a big believer that life is divinely and perfectly timed. And when you kind of live in that state of surrender, of trusting in life and trusting in the magic of the universe, and that everything that's meant to unfold will unfold in its proper time, it just feels like a great sense of relief. There's no need to force things or effort or strive or hustle, or put this pressure on yourself, this insatiable pressure of needing more and all of that. Like, you could just let that go when you live in that state of peace and surrender to what is and your divine timing of your life. It's really magical. There's a certain poetry, a certain elegance to life and timing, and realizing that what's for you will not go past you, and what's meant to be will always be. And there's no need to worry about it. There's no need to stress about it. So just to conclude this video, just a few key points that I think are really important. Listen to your body. Your body is always telling you what it needs. And sometimes when we're living in the manic mind, it's really hard to live in the body, to live in that state of presence, which is always neck down. So instead of living neck up in the head, we kind of want to shift that energy downward. And so can you listen to your body? Can you be fully connected to your senses to get out of that manic chatter? Do you need rest? Do you need to take more off your plate? How can you be more of an essentialist in your life? Lastly, can you enjoy the sweetness of doing nothing? Dolce far niente. Can you pursue pleasure over entertainment? Because they're two completely different things. It's just my own personal opinion, but life in the United States, the culture in the United States, I think could personally use some gentleness, some softness, going slower in their pursuit of more or achieving or striving or goals. I think there's a hardness and a toughness to Americans that I really love, and I admire that. But after living in Europe for the last 4 years, and France specifically, there is a huge contrast in energy. And it's weird because I live in France, and so I get used to it, and I forget how big the difference is because it's just my day-to-day life, and I start to forget about what it is like in the United States. I enjoy going back to the US to kind of get a reminder, to get a refresh, because every time I travel back to France after spending some time in the US, the energy is different. And it is a harder energy in the US. It's a much softer and gentler, lighter energy here in France. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's cultural. I don't know if it's culturally like how the French act socially with others, but there is a difference.
Our world is fast and our days are busy, but you don't have to move this way all the time. You know, sometimes moving slower is the most healing thing that we can do for ourselves. In moments of overwhelm, the best thing we can do is press pause, seek stillness, and go within. And to help you on your slow living journey, I've created a slow living ebook and guided workbook journal to share everything that I've learned on my journey toward living a simpler, slower lifestyle. Calm and clarity await you in my beautifully designed ebook. You'll find not only all the inspirational tips, routines, and self-care practices that have helped me transform my own life from living fast to one that is simpler and more peaceful, but I've also created a workbook with over 60 journal prompts to help you put it all into practice. Think of this as a quiet, peaceful space to unwind, ground, and connect with yourself on a daily basis. I'll include a link down below in the description if you'd like to order my slow living ebook and journal in my online shop. All right, let's get back to the video. Arthur Schopenhauer once said that ordinary people think merely of spending time, but great people think of using it. This is an opinion that I really disagree with, because at the end of our lives, we're not going to be thinking about how much we did, how much of our time was used well. We'll be thinking about how we lived well. And I believe that one truly lives well when they enjoy it, when they spend their time doing whatever it is that feels wonderful.